Morning, morning, everybody. Michelle is here on this. It's a wet and kind of, extremely overcast day, because we're having some issues, on the West Coast, in certain areas. This is February the 4th, 2024. How about that? And so I'm up and at it as usual, doing my thing, baby. Feeling good like I know I should. Um, just doing what I got to do. And like I said, my plate is filled just like everybody else, you know. But what I do is I just take the time to just enjoy it and get past things. Things have to get done. We are so far behind the eight ball. I mean, we are off the charts with our responsibilities and our accountabilities. Therefore, we're reaping what we've sown. And this can go back, thousands of years, millions of years. It could have been because of this or because of that. And let me just make something really clear again, so that we are kind of on the right track of what I'm hoping to do, as well as how I'm hoping to help. Now, when I offer to help, of course, it's not materialistically, but it could be in certain cases. It's more so about helping you to help you. It's all about you. It's about I, we, and us. Basically, we need each other to help each other, and that's just so true. But let's just be clear about things now. I told you that we are reborn after so many years. We have that spirit form that impulses energy and strikes at the appropriate time, after procreation, whatever. Just kind of follow that. And in other words, we get that energy impulse, that creational energy impulse, and then away we go. So, like what I've learned over the years, once you go through that one time, okay, you need to finish, and at some point you will finish. I mean, it doesn't matter what we do, we're not going to stop becoming, which is being born, and passing, which is dying. We materialistically do not control that under the best circumstances. I told you, you can be as healthy as healthy as a horse, as they say. Eat right, exercise, but at some point you will die. But at the same time, we are responsible for taking care of this material vehicle, this material vessel. So yes, you need to make sure you have the proper proteins, the proper nutrition. And unfortunately, a lot of the foods that is out there now is manufactured. Is that the term they use? I think they call it manufactured, where it can sit on the shelf for decades. A lot of people have issues with that. Well, you have to again do your research when it comes to food. There's a lot of misconceptions about food out there, a lot of it. And I don't like to get too wrapped up in it, because people get very defensive about that. When you talk about food is talked about more than anything I've ever paid attention to. During my life, it's about food, what you're eating, what you're not eating. People telling you to eat this, people telling you to eat that. People badger you if you eat this. They'll badger you if you eat that. If you're not a vegetarian, then something's wrong with you. If you're not eating, if you're not eating any meat, something's wrong with you. If you're consuming dairy, okay, you got a problem. We kind of go back and forth with that, back and forth. But it's our responsibility to make sure we're reading these labels to know what's in so-called quote-unquote food. And a lot of things that we can't even, pronounce, and then you can't really find the meaning of it on the search engines, because the search engines are now exclusively fortified with control, meaning you're not going to know any more than they. And they, who is they? Well, it's the hidden hands. You're not going to know any more than you need to know on these social media platforms, on these internet platforms, on these search engines. They've controlled all of that. Okay, so now they're gonna, and so physically, they did all they could to hide stuff, hide books, bury books, burn books. Okay, and now they're gonna do everything in their power to, restrict on what you're searching for, what you're researching, and this and that and the other. But the hidden hands, oh boy. I mean, hidden hands are human beings, by the way. Keep that in mind. So what happens? Like I said, we all reap what we've sown, and we may not know that. Okay, and remember I told you about the Frankenstein. Frankenstein, that insane, highly developed, quote unquote, human being, being so obsessed with controlling people and having so-called conveniences of lives and interfering with everything about our humaneness, to where what did Frankenstein create? His own monster. And that's what we're doing too as well. We're creating our own monsters that are going to eventually do what? Turn on us. That's literal. So think about it figuratively and metaphorically and symbolically as well. You incorporate different modes of thinking so that you understand what is going on. Okay, and to pretend to not know otherwise, it doesn't work anymore, as everyone else ought to be figuring out. Yes, there are certain things that you may be able to, hide behind the veils, hide behind a mask, hide behind a anonymous screen name, hide behind pseudonym, just being fakery online, and nobody knows who you are because you have all these pseudonyms and all these names that you're hiding behind, because you're a coward, especially if you're creating discord and chaos and destruction. You're a coward to do that and not come out and face people. Who does that? Cowards. Okay. But anyway, so there's a lot of things that we can deny, and we can deny until the cows come home, leave out, and come back in again. Okay, it's not going to really, you don't have that much power, and this is not to degrade anyone. No one has that much power to control the causal effects, the cause and effect. If you didn't take care of it in the beginning, if you didn't understand what you were cultivating and contemplating in the beginning, okay, you don't have any power to, because you were given many warnings. All of us have been warned now for thousands of years, millions of years, about cause and effect. But we chose to disregard it and say, "Oh no, that doesn't apply to me." I live in a good neighborhood. I don't have crime here. I live in a good neighborhood. I remember that used to be said all the time. "Oh, I'm in a gated community." A lot of people used to get so all worked up about that. I'm in a gated community. Just think about that on a literal basis, okay? But think about it symbolically. I'm in a gated community. You know what that means to you? What that means to your consciousness? To say I'm in a gated community and be so proud of that. Okay, so that's symbolically what's happening with a lot of our consciousness. We feel like, okay, my job is done. I don't need to be thinking anymore. And what's going to happen? I say, based on the results I see, is there's billions of people believing that I don't have to work no more. I don't have to think anymore. I don't need to do this or that. I can sit on the couch all day long. And believe it or not, with these these technologies that you can hold in your hand, those portable technologies, some people, like I said, can be sitting on the couch for, say, oh, okay, I'm going to do a video game for about 30 minutes, blah, blah, that's what they tell themselves. And then they're there for 30 hours. Okay, I told you, I knew someone that was that way. And this is not necessarily they were doing video. I don't know what they were doing, to be honest. Because I do remember this person used to play a lot with games on her cell phone. So chances are that's what she was doing. But she was claiming she was looking for a job. I leave and come back over 12 hours later, and that person's still sitting there looking for a job. Hadn't changed clothes, hadn't cleaned the kitchen, blah, 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 blah. In other words, there's work to be done. Now, there's a difference between having clutter. I have some clutter here, but I'm not hoarding. There's a difference. Keep that in mind. When you have clutter, and that's in the eye of the beholder, actually, clutter. Hoarding is something completely different. And you can recognize that person is having some issues if they're hoarding. Okay, so keep that in mind. Don't allow people to disregard what you sense and receive. If you sense and receive that there's a problem, then chances are there is. Especially if you know, okay, I'm not delusional right now. I'm not hallucinating. I'm breathing. I recognize that I am in a genuine reality here. And then if I see, because that's how it was for me when I was a first responder, we would get, we would be dispatched or told to go to a certain location. And on the outside, okay, everything was beautiful because they had somebody. Usually people have someone doing their lawn instead of the individual that owns the house doing their own lawn. Okay, let's just stay away from that. Mowing their own lawn, which is a beautiful thing if you consider it and involve yourself in that. Anything outdoors with dirt and sand, trees and planting trees and flowers. That's one of the most rewarding things that I've ever experienced in my life, and I want a chance to do it again, but I know how limited that is. I know how limited it is, but I'll consider everything, at the right time. But we just need to just pay attention a little bit more. Pay attention to what's going on around us, especially with the people we love and the people we care about. Especially our parents if they're elderly. I used to pay attention to my mom and her behaviors, and that's when I knew something really was going on. Just pay attention. I am an advocate for if you have an elderly parent living by themselves, and if it's possible for you to live with them, I would consider it. But that's an individual's choice. If you're single, and even if you're married, sometimes things may not be as bad as it seems or it appears. You won't know until you experience it. But just pay attention to behaviors and actions as well, and more so than what people are saying to you, because people will say any goddamn thing to you and have you convinced, which you ought not be convinced. You need to make sure it makes sense to you, it's understandable and it's logical, and you can research it and it's reproducible. Is it reproducible what people are saying to you? Pay attention to especially people on these social media platforms. Pay attention to them. And say to yourself, because there will be a separation. That is, that's logical. Things do separate, okay? We separate from our parents my mother, when I was born, I separated from my mother via birth. I separated from my mother, my parents, their home by getting out and getting my own place to live, blah, blah, blah. So that's just a natural process of separation. There's going to be a lot of people are going to be moving all over the country, attempting to settle down somewhere, considering to move here, considering to move there, especially they have children that no longer in the house. Some parents are going to consider downsizing. Some parents might do this, that. A lot of people are going to just be moving around in certain areas in other words, the energy of your thoughts is going to put you where you want to be or where you need to be. And in most cases, it's an unconscious process. And you realize, oh my God, you live in one place and then all of a sudden you're somewhere else. And you thought to yourself, and you think to yourself, my goodness, some people would be surprised. Some people would be disappointed. But if you're not conscious of what you're in paying attention to your results and say, okay, all right, how do I get out of this? Why am I still in these type of situations? It's starting with your thoughts. You're thinking about it, you're ruminating, and you're unconsciously ruminating about it. Like for me, I've healed from past, uh, uh, in other words, what I mean is I neutralize past events I've had. I resolve things with people. I resolve this and that and the other. Now I'm going, but that's a continual process though. You have to keep developing and developing and developing and elevating and elevating and elevating. It doesn't stop. But if you keep procrastinating and pushing it under the bed or keeping it in a closet, thinking, okay, or not clearing out your own garages, clearing out your own backyard, and you worried about what other people are doing in their yards, on their own property. We're so always concerned about everybody else. Like the people that are in these pyramid positions, congressmen, politicians, business owners, scientists, engineer, whatever title they have. They're always concerned about what everybody else is doing. And then that's how they determine what to do, instead of paying attention to what's going on inside of you and figuring out for yourself what needs to be done. I'm so annoyed with that, because that's what's happening with these social media platforms. All of them, even the ones that I enjoy daily and learn somewhat from. And that's becoming limited as well. They are deciding, okay, what to recommend to you. Okay, instead of let me decide that. If I want something, I know how to find it. I used to be able to do that back in the day by just going to the library myself and physically holding a book and reading it or checking it out. Okay, it was a great thing for me when books were available online, because then by that time in my community, the one library we had was shut down. And so, that's when everything started, by the way. All this incorporating the importance of technology over our physical interaction with other human beings. And we keep attempting to replace that. And we're doing a good job of it as well. But a lot of people are figuring out, okay, wait a minute. Okay, first of all, we're paying almost triple for groceries, and now they want us to check out our own groceries, and then they're harassing us, and the thing is very distracting when you're dealing with what do they call them, self-operating checkout, because it makes you distracted, number one, and number two, you can be an easy target for people too, especially if especially the vulnerable ones. Okay, so again, I appreciated being able to order a book online and have it delivered to me, because like I said, the library wasn't there, and I felt like, why would I need to drive? I could have drove to a library, but then other people were there, and that's when I recognized there was just people everywhere, traffic everywhere, and that started to annoy me, where I just needed to be isolated from people, kind of recluse myself. And so it was great to order stuff online, but then again, that's where complacency seeped in, and the whole intention was to control us, and have us, have people be focused on toys and technology and not on each other and our interpersonal relationships. A lot of people complaining about that. That is sadly, in my opinion, damaged, and only a few people are going to be able to reap the benefits of a beautiful interpersonal relationship with one person, that's all I need, or a group of people. Some people can deal with groups of people. And I'm talking intimacy. I'm talking on the intimacy level. Some people can handle, more than one. All I need is one, and I'm good, because I got a lot to do. I don't want to give all my attention. No, let me just stop. But yes, the interpersonal relationships are, a lot of people are just going to be so despondent over that. And they're going to be alone in themselves about all of that, because truly, literally, there's billions, 10 billion, almost 10 billion people on this planet. So we're definitely not alone, but you're going to be feeling loneliness, and that's within you, because, you want that. It's a beautiful thing to want to be close to someone and to be intimate with someone. That's a beautiful thing. Who wouldn't want that? But at the same time, we're dealing with the cause and effect of allowing toys to take precedent. Just to be the most, toys and cell phones and computers and gaming and applications, everything to be, like I saw something that was put out on where this woman could not access her own information once it goes into the cloud. When you people need to understand that, like, now I got stuff that's in the cloud and I can't get to because I didn't like the service, but my stuff is still in the cloud and I can't get to it unless I pay. That's extortion too, to have to pay to get your own stuff out of the cloud. A lot of people was pushing that, So we're all in it, we're all in it. We're all affected, and no one, again, can get out of this unless you know how to, like going to Mars is not going to save you. Going to the moon is not going to save you. Okay, if you can't get out of the solar system, which we cannot physically get out of this solar system with the proper equipment, okay, spaceships, duh. Everybody's so fascinated by that. But are you thinking logically about that? Like I said, we are in a self-created man-made black hole. Okay, literally, in my opinion, but make it symbolically if you want to, and consider what that means. We're all in this together. Anybody that think they are better, they're comical to me. They really are. The ones that think they're more knowledgeable, they know so much more than. It's almost like, because we're all like, just literally picture this, please. We're all walking in shit. Now, unless you are riding on someone's shoulder, that's what pyramids are anyway. They're riding on the shoulders of other people, carrying them, financing them, funding them. And so they think because because we propel them up there, that's what we do. We put people on these pedestals. So they think that they're up there, but wait till the collapse. And guess what happens? You know what happens with a collapse, right? Right? Pay attention to when a building collapses, what happens to it. That's in a pyramid style. Pay attention to that. Okay, so yeah, the interpersonal relationships. Yeah, I understand that completely. That's a I don't want to say a desirable, but but it is. But you have to keep in mind as well. Once you do come together as a partnership, as a relationship, or as a couple, or get married or whatever, you have to deal with the complexities of each other. And at some point, one of you will not be there. Okay, and when I'm talking through death, okay, keep that in mind. All right, so yes, enjoy the moments. Continue to be whole. You have to be whole. And if you're healing, you're not whole. Sorry. If you're still in healing, then you're not whole yet. Heal yourself so you can open up in your consciousness other experiences that are going to help you elevate, help you evolve. But again, once you come together as a couple, I know who I'm aligned with. Whether they know it or not, that's really irrelevant. But keep in mind, when you do come together, one of you are going to die at some point if you stay together long enough. Like with my parents, when my dad, they didn't die together. You don't. You die individually. Okay, keep that in mind as well. Prepare for that. And that could happen. You know, divorce, a lot of people say divorce feels like death. That's a possibility. I have not experienced that. So I don't know that. I don't know what that feels like. But at the same time, just work on healing and being healed. Get it over with. And a lot of people say, well, don't be rushing people. Let them take their time. Okay, let them take their time. You know, because it is free will. Free will. Please contemplate on that, cultivate on that, and understand what that means. How you can, at a snap of a finger, end a lot of stuff and be healed instantly if you choose to. Okay, so I just want to share some of that this morning on this Sunday, February the 4th, 2024. In the place to be, baby. Yeah, I like my reading glasses. Oh, yeah. I've had them for a while, but yeah, they only serve the purposes of helping me to read. I don't, So let me go ahead and get me something to eat. Enjoy my Sunday, the rain, the shine, whatever. Enjoy it. Be safe. Trust your instinct. Whether, if you get some feeling about this may not be a safe place for me to be riding it out, you better, get on up, and call for people to help you if you need that. So I'm going to go ahead and send peace and love all over the stars and moon and mountains. Universal love to all. Trust me. I'll be back.